Welcome to our lecture online. Now let's do an example of how to find the currents in a circuit that contains magnetic coupling. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky and it's very easy to make a small little mistake somewhere and not get the correct answer. And it can be frustrating. So we need to do this very carefully. So let's go through this example to see how that's done. So we have this fairly simple circuit. We have a voltage supply, 60 volts with a 30-degree phase angle, and we have an angular frequency of 4 radians per second, so we can write it like this, where V is equal to the 60 volts times the cosine of 4t plus the phase angle. Notice we have two inductors, we have one capacitor, we have one resistor. Notice that they are coupled, and the coupling is 2.5 henries. We have a 5 Henry inductor on the left side, a 4 Henry inductor on the right side. This capacitor has a capacitance of 1/16 farad, and we have a 10 ohm resistor. Now notice that we need to be able to convert from the time domain to the frequency domain for every one of the components. So this is the voltage in the time domain, this is the voltage in the frequency domain. Here we have the 5 Henries in the time domain, which converts to j omega L. Omega is 4. L is 5, so it's J20 ohms. That's the reactance of that particular inductor. So for a resistor, of course, it's simply straight 10 ohm resistor. And for the capacitor, we have a 1/16 farad capacitor. To convert that to the frequency domain, we have to write as 1 over j omega c. Omega is 4, c is 1/16, so this j, I forgot a parenthesis here, that's 1/4 j in the denominator. When we move that to the numerator, it becomes a minus j4 ohms in the numerator. So notice that with a capacitor, we have a 90-degree lag on the phase angle. With inductor, we're 90 degrees ahead of the phase angle, so that's how they're expressed for the reactance. So now we use KVL, we're going to go around the loop and we're going to add up all the voltage rises and all the voltage drops. And it's the way that I prefer to solve a circuit like this. So starting maybe in this corner, I go across the voltage supply, we're in loop 1. We're going to go around the loop in the direction of the current, I1, and so we decided the direction of the current was clockwise. You could do it counterclockwise, it really doesn't matter as long as we stay consistent. So we have a voltage rise across the power supply, so that's 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. Then we go across the resistor, that's the voltage drop, is the current times the resistance. So in this case, that's minus 10 times I1. Then we go across the inductor, that's again a voltage drop, so that would be minus the reactance, which is a J20, so that's minus J20 times the current I1. And then we're back to where we started. Now we still have to add the coupling between the two circuits, because notice there's a coupling of 2.5 Henries. So I guess I didn't put that on here, but if I put a 2.5 Henry coupling on there, if we convert that, that would be j omega L, and so that's equal to j times 4 for the frequency, and that would be 2.5. So notice that gives us a j 10 ohms of reactance because of the coupling. And now this is the tricky part. Notice that the current enters on the dot side of this inductor and it enters on the dot side of this inductor. So the coupling is additive, so to speak, but since it's additive, we need to do a voltage drop across it, just as if we're going across the inductor. So that would be another minus J10. But now this is due to current in the other loop, that would be minus J10 I2. And of course, when we add all that up, that adds up to 0. I'm running out of room because I don't have a lot of room for loop 2. Well, we'll worry about that later. All right, now we want to simplify that. So let's combine these two right here. So we end up with a minus 10 plus J20 I1. Minus J10 I2 equals, and when we bring that across, a minus 60 times the square root, with a phase angle of 30 degrees. No, it's not a radical. All right, now I can get rid of all the negatives, and so this becomes 10 plus J20 I1 plus J10 I2 equals 60 with an angle, phase angle of 30 degrees. So now notice that this is a constant, constant times I1 plus a constant times I2 equals the voltage. And that would be our loop 1 equation, we have two unknowns. We have I1 and I2. So with this one equation, of course, I cannot solve for I1 or I2. I need a second equation, and that comes from loop 2. Let's see if we have enough room here. So starting from here, going around the circuit, notice that I have a voltage drop. If I go with the current across the 4 Henry resistor, so the voltage drop would be a minus J. That would be 4 Henries converted. That would be 16 ohms of reactance, so minus J 16. That would be I2. Let's go ahead and put parentheses around it like that. Then we go around the capacitor. Again, that would be a voltage drop, but in this case with the capacitor, notice we have a minus J4 ohm in reactance because we have that minus 90-degree phase difference. So when we subtract the voltage drop across this with the minus, it's like adding it. So this becomes plus J4 times I2. And now we've taken care of every component in loop 2, but now we still have the cross coupling between these two inductors. Notice again the current enters both inductors on the dot side, so that is an additive inductance, but since we have a voltage drop, that becomes minus 2.5 Henry converted, that would be minus J10, and that's caused by the current in the other loop, which is I1, and that equals 0. So there we have the equation for our second loop. Combining this, so here we have a minus J10 I1, and then over here we have a minus 16 plus J4, that would be a minus 12, so J12 times I2 is equal to 0. When I get rid of all the negative signs, I have J10 I1 plus J12 I2 equals 0. Now moving this across, I can solve for I1 in terms of I2. So I can say that J10 I1 equals minus J12 I2. If I then divide both sides by a J10, notice I have I1 is equal to minus 1.2 I2. There we go. So now that I have this relation between I1 and I2, I can go ahead and plug that back into my equation over here. And I can replace I1 by negative 1.2 I2. So here I have 10 plus J20. Instead of I1, I'm going to write minus 1.2 I2 plus J10 I2 equals 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. So now I have everything just in terms of I2, and I can solve for I2 in terms of the voltage, and then I can plug that in here to solve for I1. So that's the strategy we're using. So here we have minus 12 I2, minus 12 I2. Here I have minus J24 I2 plus J10 I2 equals 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. Then combining this, I now have minus 12, and then minus 24 plus 10 is a minus J14. I2 is equal to 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. So now I have to convert this. I don't like those negative signs, so I'm going to convert it like this. A minus 12 plus J14 I2 equals 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. And then to get rid of the minus, I can add or subtract 180 degrees at the end. That makes it easier. All right, so let's do that. So what's the magnitude here? So I have 12 squared plus 14 squared equals, so end up with 340, take the square root of that, which is 18.439. So on this side I have minus 18.439 with an angle of, so we have 14 divided by 12, take the inverse tangent of that, 49.399. 49.399 degrees. That is times I2 equals 60 divided by 30 degrees. So this negative sign will go to the other side. So let's come up here to continue So on this side I have I2 now is equal to 60 with a phase angle of 30 degrees. I'll bring the negative over here from the left side. I can put it on the right side and then divide this by 18.439 with a phase angle of 49.399. Okay, so that means that I2 is equal to divide 60 by 18.439. And I get 3.254. 3.254, that's the maximum the maximum current. And the phase angle, notice, let me still put the negative in there so don't forget about the negative. So 30 minus 49.399. So 30 minus 49.399 gives us a minus 19.399. And then if I add 180 degrees to that to get rid of the negative sign, I can say that I2 is equal to 3.254 with a phase angle at 180. And that gives us 160.601. There we go. And now I have the value for I2. At least in the frequency domain. Then of course we'll have to convert to the time domain. So now that we know that I1 is a negative 1.2 I2, I can now say that I1 therefore is equal to negative 1.2 times 3.254 with a phase angle of 160.601 degrees. So when I multiply 3.254 multiply that times 1.2, I get I1 is equal to, now this negative sign I'm going to subtract 180 from this. When I do that I get 3.905 with a phase angle of this minus 180 degrees to get rid of the negative sign. That would give me a minus, let's see here, 160.601 minus 180 equals 19.39, negative 19.399 degrees. Yes. All right. And there is I1. So that is, of course, in the time domain. Now if we want the current in the frequency domain and realizing what omega is, and we have the phase angles, I can now say that I1 is equal to the maximum, which is 3.905 times the cosine of 4t, and then the phase angle is minus 19.399 degrees. And then for I2, and that would be, of course, amps. Let me put a line there so we don't get confused. And then here we end up with 3.254 times the cosine of 4t, and the phase angle would be plus 160.601 degrees, and that's, of course, in amps. And hopefully I did not make a small mistake somewhere, and those are the two currents of our circuit, taking into account the magnetic coupling between the two inductors. And that is how it's done.